Hello everyone, welcome to Radically Loved Radio. I wanted to create a place where people can go to get inspired, get motivated, or find some clarity and get tools to create a radically loved life. I will do my best to provide information on a variety of subjects, including yoga, holistic health, life coaching, spirituality, meditation, and overall mindful living. Each episode will bring you some of the world's best spiritual leaders, entrepreneurs, yoga teachers, coaches, along with some of my closest friends, and we will talk about their life experiences and journeys to create something more out of their lives and how they continue to grow to make that happen. Thanks for listening. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Radically Loved Radio. We are at the Mod Pod studio, and I'm very... There it is. There it is. Years and years. I have a very special guest on the show today. He is the owner and creator, and he's the owner and creator of just anything. Red Monkey Designs, and he is also my future baby daddy. So welcome, Torry Pendergrass.
Hello there.
Isn't it so much fun? You know what I wanted to ask you? What does it feel like to not be producing the show anymore?
OMG. So good.
It tested you. You're 300 plus episodes in.
Yeah. And that, I didn't sign up for that.
You did not.
I did not.
But you know what? You played, you were a good team player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. as far as everybody else knows. I wanted to have you on the show today because you and I recorded a hour-long plus episode a couple of months ago, and we were so into it. It was all about how, as a couple, to survive quarantine. We had all these really great mindful tips on how to, have a healthy relationship with your partner.
It was very prolific.
It was so good, and I'm having a hard time letting go of attachment to how good it was. I know we're not going to be able to recreate it.
Let it go. What happened to it?
The internet, something happened. We're recording it on Zoom, and I think
you went to upload it, right?
Yeah, and it was my old computer, and she ate it up.
Yeah, exactly. And Rosie's like, okay, we got to do that again, and I'm like,
I literally have been begging him, you guys, I'm looking at the camera. I'm so excited to be able to see you guys. You can see me. I can't see you. But anyway, I've been begging him for months. I'm like, please, can we redo it? And it's just been so hard just scheduling. It's been a little bit chaotic. So this was the only way that I can get him to come and redo it.
I was like, I need lights. I need microphones. I need Mod Pod.
He needs the Mod Pod experience.
She made it happen.
And for those of you that don't know, if you've not listened to a couple of podcasts ago, JD Cargill was on, and he talked about how he's pivoted his business due to COVID and the whole pandemic, and he created this incredible space for us. Him and Ed are really just an incredible team. Mod Pod Podcasting has a long wait list right now for people that are wanting to create podcasts. But yeah, look, we're so grateful. We've got Ed and JD here as well. So it's just like a fun little gathering of folks.
That's rather irritating for me because I produced 300 and something episodes, and I've never had an episode sound as good as it comes out of this place.
I know, it's crazy. I'm like, God, why can't you do this, Tor?
Well, I don't have a studio, and don't have the wonderful mics.
I know, you're like inspecting all
we've got
the
all the gear. We just don't have the proper space, I think.
Yeah.
And,
Well, and I think too, it's how I record the podcast too. Sometimes I'm recording back to back, and it's like it's not extremely real time. Some of the podcast episodes that you guys are watching or listening to have happened a couple of months ago, and just because of the way the schedule is, it takes Torry some time to decide.
One time she gave me a podcast where she had I'm like, what did you record this with? And it was the little white with the, and I said, we've got like microphones, proper gear. What are you doing wearing those? And she's like, I don't know. And it was, oh my God, it's horrible.
Anyway, this is behind the scenes of podcasting. We're not here to talk about that today. Nope. We're here to talk about relationships. Actually, I want to talk about two things today with you. You look handsome today, by the way.
Thank you.
How do I look? How do I look?
You look stunning as usual.
Wonderful.
And that is how you survive quarantine.
It's terrible. So I wanted to talk about two things. I want to talk about rituals. I want to talk about, we obviously are not going to be able to go through all the relationship stuff we talked about before, but one of the things that I have found helpful for us during this time has been having our dedicated day where we have date night, where we can actually, create a time during the week where we can be as busy as we are, but we're able to create that time, that date, whatever it may be. Maybe it's we just watch a movie in bed, or we hang out by the pool, or we can actually go out somewhere. I think that's been super helpful for us to just
that's a tough one to get a hold of because especially during quarantine, we're home. You're around your mate, right? So Rosie's had to train me to know that, just because we're in the same room doesn't mean we're hanging out.
Oh my God.
Because I'm like I've been looking at your face all day. I'm good. We're good.
It's terrible, you guys. No, seriously, this is a thing. Torry can be at home all day long and be working on something and all day. And, we can go like this a couple of days and I start to feel a little bit neglected. I'm like, what is going on? I mean, I miss my boyfriend. Where is he? What is he doing? And Torry can feel like, I've seen you every day, all day. Mm-hmm. What are you talking about? And so I think it's really important to be able to communicate with your mate.
Sure. And I think it's important to peel away that time or recognize when it's, okay, the work that needed to get done today got done. I own a business. There's always going to be work to do. Mm-hmm. But to recognize okay, you know what? I feel good about today. That was great. Let's actually hang out. And I think that's an important thing to do especially during this quarantine time, because, we're all having to be home and get along and, make it work, right?
Have you found it helpful to have a routine or a schedule? I know that for me, it's a little bit sporadic. Sometimes it's a little bit different than yours. Yours is pretty much the same. Do you think that having that routine has been really helpful? And can you tell the listeners and viewers what your routine is like?
I would like to say that it varies a bit, but it doesn't. I wake up, I get my coffee, I turn on her hot water, I feed the pig, and the pig is the pit bull, Chowder. He eats, and then he goes back to bed and snuggles with Rosie for another half hour or so. And so, and I write. I work on, I either respond to emails, do business stuff, or I try to write. And depends on what mode I'm in at that present time in my life. Usually computer, email writing, busy stuff lasts till about 11-ish. And then, actually get dressed and go to work. Yeah. That's an important part of the thing. I learned this a long time ago. My friend Johnny Foote told me to do this one time. He's like, man, you got to get up and you got to wake up and shower and get dressed and go to work. Even if you're at home and you're quarantined, you lay around in sweats all day. You're not going to be that productive. It's really kind of crazy. And
I don't know. I can get pretty productive in my PJs.
Yeah. Well, depending on what you're doing, I will say depending on what you're doing, but if you're actually trying to get out there and do something, it does help. It really helps.
No, it does.
It puts on a whole different mindset.
Yeah. No, it totally does. I know. I mean, you've seen me. Sometimes I'm like, I just feel like I need a shower. And then once I shower, I'm like, oh, I don't feel like it's 3:00 and the day is done and I'm still in my workout clothes from that morning. One of the things that I've not actually talked about on the podcast is that you are in the middle of transitioning your career right now.
Yeah.
I kind of want to talk to you about that because it's actually something that's very inspiring to me. And I think it'd be really inspiring for people that are listening to know, especially a lot of people are out of work right now and trying to pivot and do different things. And, you know, I know that your inspiration journey this year has been a little bit like a roller coaster, but I think overall the fact that you are transitioning into something else is really inspiring. So can you talk to us about it a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's not full-blown transitioning yet. I mean, if it works, then it works, great. But I'm just, I call it utilizing my brain and bringing in other opportunities. So I've been doing what I do. I do high-end leather accessories, and for 25 years. And there's some days.
So like my whole life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would have expected the wah wah wah.
Oh, come on.
So the you know, sometimes I just feel like if I'm banging on rivets in the studio, I'm just kind of like feeling like I'm just wasting this brain space after this many years. You know, there's days when I'm good with it, and there's days when I'm just like, oh my God. And so I'm writing. You know, I've been working on screenplays now for a few years, and I'm just feeling really inspired, and that being able to use my brain in that other way. And it's really gotten me through COVID. I mean, I honestly, I lost my mojo completely when COVID hit. I thought, oh, I'm going to get, God, pressure's off. I'm going to get all this stuff written, and I'm going to finish the one I've been working on, and I'm going to this and that, and crickets. I mean, my brain went into just complete hibernation mode. And, but I started consuming a lot more books and listening and using the brain in the other way. So, because I listen to my books, I consume them that way because I'm in the studio working. And then, and so I don't know, I plowed through a ton of books during COVID, which was inspiring in and of itself.
Yeah, I think that that's a really key point for me as well. It's like if I'm feeling creatively stuck, then sometimes just consuming somebody else's creativity can help inspire something or fuel something. Albeit I take the risk of sometimes it making me feel bad about myself, right? Like I listen to somebody else's podcast no, I'm just kidding. There's no other podcast better than this one. But, you know, I might listen to a book or something and feel like, oh, like there's no way that I'm going to write a book as good as this, or there's no way that I'm going to make a podcast as good as this, or, you know, so for me, I run that risk a lot of the time. So yeah, I'm always just so impressed that for you, it's the opposite. I think that's really a great tool to utilize.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really think about it. I mean, I just kind of do it, you know. I definitely stay off social media. I mean, anybody who...
Oh my God. Can we talk about that? Because we were just talking about that over on the drive here. You know, I said this during the episode I recorded with Felicia Tomasco. And I don't remember if we said it during the interview or not, but she is the founder. She's also an incredible yoga teacher and was the creator of LA Yoga Magazine. But we sort of go on social media at the risk of our own inspiration, you know, risking our own inspiration or even risking our own self-worth, because we're always going to be comparing ourselves to what everybody else is doing. And I think one of the things that I really admire about you is that, you know I get on you sometimes 'cause I'm like, oh my God, you're never on social media. You need to like promote yourself more, get on social media for your business, et cetera, whatever. And none of it, to me, it's like the energy that you put into it. It's never really been something that you've been interested in doing or engaging in, because I really truly feel that if you did, it probably wouldn't serve you, right? So you don't take that risk, you just don't do it, and you do just fine, right? And so for me, I feel like I need to be present, I need to be out there, I need to be constantly creating content and creating courses and creating podcast, like constantly. I'm constantly doing things for my brand, for my business. And I feel that sometimes, and I've talked about this pretty openly, when I do go online and see what other people are doing, it often leaves me feeling deflated and uninspired. And sometimes you've seen what happens, right? And so I think, you know, you're either one type or the other. Maybe you're the type of person that, for me, even though I run that risk of getting uninspired, at the end of the day, it does make me feel better to connect with people because I am definitely that extroverted introvert. I think you're just an introvert. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, COVID ain't got nothing on me when it comes to like putting somebody into wanting to just be at home and like quarantine. That's
yeah. It's like when you realize your real life is no different than quarantine life.
But I mean, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I do understand the benefit of social media, and I do think that if I were to embrace it more, I would maybe be further along. I don't know, but it just pisses me off. I mean, honestly,
Why?
I don't know.
What about it pisses you off?
First off, I recognize very quickly the pulls. You know, when they
pulls, like pulling.
The things that pull you into the directions. So whether you're online or, you know, the clickbait.
Oh, okay.
So I recognize quickly the minute I start to. And
then you're being targeted.
Yeah. And then I'm like, I'm wasting my time. And then I turn it off. I'm like, that's it. Like I just completely lose interest. But I do, you know, appreciate engaging with people for sure. I don't know. It's just, Maybe I missed the era for it or something like that.
Well, I oftentimes feel like I get a little bit jealous of you in that respect because I feel like maybe if I had less time to spend on social media, I would have more things done if I can pull a single.
It is a serious time suck. I mean, for sure. And I don't know how people do it because people think, I mean, even computers a lot of times, you know, it masks itself, right?
Yeah.
They mask themselves in saving us time. And half the time we're troubleshooting something or we're doing this or we're doing that. And like, before you know it, you're like, God, I wasted an hour trying to get this thing to work. This app, whatever it is, you know? And so.
You're really dating yourself, honey.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, maybe. That's all right.
This is the Mac and PC conversation. I am a Mac and he is a PC.
And she's always having
problems
with her computer, and it's never the computer's fault. It's always the internet.
Operator error.
Maybe.
I have a little follow-up to that because now we can start talking about different methods that we've used to help us whenever we're feeling stuck. What type of support is most helpful for you when you do feel uninspired? I mean, there was a time in the last couple of months where you were really not interested in writing. You were just kind of feeling not great. How do you think that being in a relationship, for the people out there that are in a relationship, or even just a friendship relationship, like how do you lean on your partner or friend to support you?
I think, I don't know that I don't look at it like that necessarily, looking for somebody to support me. I look at how I can support them in the regard of, I'll start reaching out to friends that maybe I've not talked to in a minute, because we all get wrapped up in life and you forget. And, you know, I've got some really good friends out there that I rarely ever talk to. Also in LA, that's kind of part of the equation, right? It's just how we all operate.
I think that's a belief. I don't believe that, but that's
maybe
two different.
But you're really good at keeping in touch with people. I'm not. But to answer your question, what I have found is I would start to reach out to people. Hey, how you doing? How you feeling? How you holding up during all this craziness? You know, like, you doing all right? And like, just engaging with people.
Yeah, you're of the mentality, when you feel helpless, help someone.
Okay, sure. I wouldn't have put it. I didn't
put
it so eloquently, but yeah, no, that's great.
But that's I think that's really cool for you to be able to think about it in those terms. Most of the time we meaning me, and if you can relate to me as well, it's us, it's a little bit more like, help me, make me feel better. Like, how can you support me? How can, especially for me in a romantic relationship, I definitely rely on you. What do I say all the time when I need something? Can I have a hug?
Yeah, you start looking for the I don't know, what do you call it?
Affection.
Is it affection?
Comfort. Yeah, I'm definitely a comfort seeker. Yeah. Comfort food, comfort hugs.
Yeah. I can tell when you're needing more than you're getting.
And I think this is a really great question just to ask people out there in couples. I mean, obviously, so Torry and I just mentioned two opposing things that we need. He needs to make himself feel useful in the sense of being of service. And for me, I need physical attention. I need to feel like I have a security blanket, so to speak. And I think that just has to do with how, I grew up and stuff, like needing that security. So that makes sense to me. I'm literally therapizing myself right now. But I think for you, I think communication is a big thing for you as well. And I think that you and I have, I don't like to use the word trained each other, because training just sounds so like dehumanizing in a way, it's like, oh, I'm going to train you to be in a relationship with me. I think it's more about just being present and listening and being aware of what the other person needs and
setting boundaries as well. Like,
let's talk about boundaries.
What you're willing to, accept and not accept, and put up with and not put up with, and
Yeah, like what are some of the hardest boundaries you've had to set with your mate? Let's pretend like I'm not me. Be gentle.
You guys got that crickets? Yeah, thank you.
He's like, how do I answer this question and still have a nice evening tonight when we go home? You're not getting out of it.
What was the question again?
What are some of the hardest boundaries you've had to set with your mate, and how did they help you in the long run, or did they not help you? Maybe they hindered you.
I don't know. I don't know that I've set any boundaries. Well, give me an example.
Well, like, I can't look at you before you have coffee in the morning.
Yeah, sure you can.
No,
I can't look at you before you meditate.
That's different.
How is that different?
Well,
no, because I'll be up before you, and I'll already have had coffee, and you'll wake up, and I'll be like, "Hey, what's up?" And you're like, and I'm just like, "All right," and okay, here we go. So.
Here we go. Here, it's going to get juicy, you guys. I've been waiting for the juice. People are listening to this. They're fucking bored. They want to know what is going on.
Just, I guess some simple tips would be to just know and respect and realize that it's not always about you. I learned this. Rosie and I have been together a long time. I learned this a long time ago. She likes to meditate in the morning before she does anything. And I would have maybe been up and I'm amped and I'm like, hey, I got some ideas and I'm flowing. And she's just like, and it initially maybe there was a little bit of a potential rift or until we figured out what it was. And then it was like, oh, okay. And that's where it goes back to communication.
Right.
She said, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to look at you. I don't want to smell you. I don't want to hear you before I meditate.
Damn, that's true.
And I was like, oh, okay, no problem. Why would I get offended at that? I'm like, okay, now I know. And
yeah, but okay, yes.
So setting those boundaries,
right.
Setting the parameters, and respecting that, I guess is what I'm saying.
And to my defense, yes, that was unkind and it didn't have to get there, but that was my own fault. I could have used my kind words in the beginning, but because I wanted to be a people pleaser and I didn't want to upset him or make him think that I was just like a crabby pants in the morning. First thing that I wake up, I'm just like, I'm not in my life yet. So like I'm not integrated into the day. I really need to sit and like download what's going on and just connect with, you know, my highest self. I got to go out into the planets. I got to do my mantra. I got to chant my yogic chants, and then I can be like, okay, human again. But in my mind, I was having such a hard time for years, I would say for years in the beginning, right? Like before we got to a place where I was actually able to voice that. And to my defense, I was in my early 20s, so that's why I was such a little shithead. And there was probably a better way for me to say that than how I'm sure it came out.
No, but my point is, why get offended? I didn't care.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, yes, and thank you for being so understanding. And we've not had a hiccup in our relationship since. It's been perfect.
But I think
give me
too many people.
The magical ethereal music, yes.
The fairy dust.
The fairy dust. Just kidding.
But I think that's the thing is too many people take
divorce tone.
Take everything, way too seriously or way too, personally.
Yes.
And get offended and then wonder and like, oh my God. And it's like,
yeah, I really like the 4 agreements model of don't take things personally and be impeccable with your word. I think that's something that's really important. Actually, one of the things that Tessa and I talked about that I wanted to bring up with you is, as we're talking about our relationship, how important respect is, because we have friends that have been together and broken up. We've lived through so many marriages and divorces, and we've been very lucky in our 18 years of unmarried bliss.
Believe me, we've tried though.
Oh, what? Tried what? To unmarry?
Oh, to try and just
to
end
what?
it, to break up, to whatever. Like,
you've never tried to break up with me.
Not really.
Literally. I don't think we've ever had a break.
No.
We've never had a break. I've wanted to have a break. During the 7-year itch thing is definitely a thing for sure.
But
I think our 7-year itch was.
You were
like,
also traveling a lot too. So
that was the next 7. That was at the 14-year mark.
But being gone helps.
Being gone has helped us.
Sure.
Yes.
I mean, I'm definitely an independent dude. I mean, I like to have my time and my space to, it doesn't have to be by myself.
No, and
I just
that's
like to do my own shit.
That's
it's
actually really healthy, because I think in the beginning of our relationship, I was definitely not an independent person. I was very much codependent. I, grew up in a family of a lot of addiction and a lot of codependency. So I'm very well versed in a codependent relationship. And so for me in the beginning, that was very hard, I think, having you be so independent all the time, and thank God we were able to, get through that and figure out a communication that helped me understand, so I would equate Torry being independent with, he doesn't want to be with me, right? It wasn't about Torry's independent because that's how he thrives. He loves being he loves being independent. He likes to be in his world. I just was like, this person is narcissistic and totally selfish.
Which is probably true, but I think it also comes
it was true back then.
I think it also comes down to trust.
I've fixed it.
Having trusting your partner and knowing,
Yeah, trusting that they're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah. So like, I don't sweat you. I don't sweat the small stuff. I don't, I'm like,
yeah, but that Torry comes because you are a confident man.
Okay. If
you were an insecure person, it's really difficult to be cool with that. If I was insecure, if I were to switch roles and you were gone most of the time, like I was, and if I was really insecure in myself, I would have a really hard time with that. That would be extremely torturous for me.
Well, then how does one find security within themselves?
Well, I mean, that's you start at episode 1 of this podcast. And
I mean,
and you listen. No, honey, I mean, like, seriously, I know we're joking around, but look, being being insecure, it's, you know, it's hard. It's a hard thing. I mean, I've definitely had my experience with feeling insecure, especially in the beginning of our relationship. Like, those things are really difficult. I mean, even in relationships now, you know, or marriages that have had hard times, like, it really comes down to how secure are you in the marriage, especially if there's been issues, or if somebody's stepped out, or if there's been, you know, different, there's been dishonesty in the relationship.
Right.
There's been a break of trust. Like, those things are really difficult to recover from. They're not impossible to recover from, but I think it's really challenging for certain people in relationships because of how you feel within yourself. Of course, it's going to be easier for you to be in any relationship when you're fully confident and secure in yourself. And you are a really great example of that. You've always been very confident and secure within yourself. And I think that's wonderful. I think it's really great. But I think that there's a large majority of people that we have to work, and I say we because I'm in the not that group. We have to work extra hard at feeling secure and confident within ourselves. If you're not secure, it's that whole adage, like, you can't love somebody else until you love yourself, you know, because a lot of the times people project their own insecurities into their partner, and they project their own expectations into their partners. And that's a lot of the times what causes that feeling of unfulfillment. So you're then unsatisfied with your partner, and all of a sudden two people start growing apart because of it. And then that's how relationships break, because now it's like, oh, we've just grown apart. It's like, no, you've just been so hard in on your expectations that you've not let go of the attachment of what you think your relationship should look like. You've not given yourself the opportunity to look within yourself, to ask yourself what you really want. And you're not giving your partner the space that they need to thrive in their own security, you know? So it's very tricksy.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know what to tell you.
He's like, I'm perfect. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, not at all. It's just,
no, look,
I don't worry. I don't sweat the small stuff. I mean, you know, it's pointless. I mean, at the end of the day, I've always said this.
What is it like to be with somebody who sweats all the small stuff?
You don't sweat all the small stuff.
You're really thinking, like, what do I say? And this,
no,
JD, save him.
I'm trying to think what the small stuff would be, you know, but like,
I mean,
like you're sitting here, you know, I don't know. I don't have anything to hide, so it's not, you know, like.
God, it just makes it so much. It makes it so much harder to be in conflict with somebody who's so honest.
No, but you know what I mean. It's not like you can take my phone. Like you're
It
like.
It is. It really is.
I don't know.
You know, here's the hard thing, you guys, and just full transparency, full, complete, just putting it out on the line. Like, I grew up with relationships being riddled with lies and dishonesty. Like, that's the foundations of all the relationships that I grew up with. Like, there was always cheating, people were lying. It was like, oh, let's go hang out with this. I remember getting my uncle in trouble because his girlfriend called and he's like, don't tell her that I went to the movies with this other girl. And I answered and I'm like, oh, he's out with what's her name? And it was like her. And I was like, oh no, he's with the other girlfriend, you know, like, so to me, relationships have always had this tint of difficulty and work. Not to say that relationships aren't. I mean, relationships are work, but they don't have to be that kind of work. And I think for us, what was really helpful was, like, I don't want to say what was helpful is that I got a lot of help and I became a yogi and, you know, I did a lot of self-work, but I think it was really difficult for me in the beginning of our relationship to be with somebody who was just that honest all the time. I didn't understand that. I didn't reconcile that. I'm like, oh, there's probably something else. Like, you probably really don't feel that way. Like, there's an ulterior motive to why you're saying what you're saying. And I'm sure you're not really that into me, you know, that kind of thing, which again, it's like, our baggage or whatever comes with you in each relationship. And that's why a lot of the times men and women repeat the same cycles, or you can't break out of a cycle. And it's always that nothing fight, right? Or the nothing conversation that we talk about all the time, right?
Yeah, we'll start to go down that path.
Look,
occasionally
I
there
wish
will be
you
that
could
thing.
see his look, because he here's what that look says. This is what happens after 18 years. That look says, yeah, she wants to fight, and I just engage sometimes. Yeah, that's what he's saying. That's what that look says. But continue. Go ahead.
Well, and I'll ask. I'll be like, "Are you looking to fight right now? I'm confused because I don't know where this conversation's going. Are you wanting to fight?" And she might be like, "Yes," and I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, then in that case," and I'll give it right back to her, and then she'll be like, "Well, you're being a dick or something," and I'm like, "Well, I'm giving back what I've been getting. So stop being a dick to me. I won't be a dick back."
Well, there you have it. Truth. I think at the beginning, the biggest issues we had was I wanted to get married, and you did not believe in marriage, and you were like, I'm never getting married. In the beginning, when I'm 20 years old, it's like, fine, I don't want to get married anyway. I'm 20. But then after a couple of years, and I was like, okay, he needs to either shit or get off the pot. This is like ridiculous. And so it was a big source of contention for us. So that was a big one, big issue for us. And fortunately for yourself, you acquiesced. We got engaged. We're like a 10-year engagement. Now we just need to get married, but now I don't feel like getting married. Separate podcast, next story, part 2. Tune in for the next episode. And then I think that the next one was, whether or not we were going to have kids, and I remember that was a big source of contention for us as well, that we've obviously been navigating. I've been navigating it for us pretty publicly without you. But yeah, I think that aside from those two things, for the most part, we've gone, through the ups and the downs pretty unscathed, I think.
We're still here.
For now.
I mean, she always says all...
What?
that when she finds her real husband, that I can be her boyfriend. She's like, I'll buy you I wasn't going to say side piece, but she'll be like, you can be my side piece. I'm like, all right, well, as long as you pay my bills, I guess I'm all right with that.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I just don't know. I honestly, I work with a lot of people that are single and looking, and, people that have gone through a recent divorce. I work with people that are struggling in relationships right now. And I think that if I could give one solid piece of advice across the board, is to just really give yourself the time and space to be with yourself.
Yeah, and if I could give a piece of advice, don't go looking. Don't be desperate, because desperate reads and makes you do dumb shit. And
I know, but that's real. I agree with you in a sense, but it's also really hard because, like, I come from a world where you have to be proactively positive and putting yourself out there. And if you want a partner,
don't put yourself out there, but you weren't looking when we ended up going on our first date.
Hell yeah, I was. I was looking straight at you, and I'm like, I'm gonna wife this.
You were not looking for anything further than the first date.
Honey, I was literally 20 years old.
I know.
I was not trying to get wifed.
Exactly. And so you weren't, my point is you weren't looking. I wasn't looking. And look at us now.
I know, but this doesn't work all the time, for people, like, I basically want you to give me advice of what I'm going to need for my next relationship.
Okay. You got to you can put yourself out there. Don't be desperate. I guess the point is desperation makes you make bad decisions.
And what is the desperation? To me,
people who think they don't have, it's like, oh my God, I'm getting older, or I'm gonna end up alone, or I'm gonna, like, I've just had a run of, bad luck, and it's like,
no. You get defeated.
Sure, and it's like, well, no, out of desperation, you've been making really bad choices.
Wow.
Which has now led to
this.
And
yeah.
it's like,
Do you know what's really, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off
No,
before you're
no.
done. I think that we can totally correlate that with the desperation and career stuff or advice that you've given me even at times about things that I'm wanting to do or something. It's that desperation piece, I think, really plays again in our own desire to create something or do something or have the patience to withstand the ups and downs of just life in general. Life is full of ups and downs and challenges. And unless you can be still and unless you can be with yourself, you're going to have a really hard time because nobody's going to come out of the woodwork to fix your problems. Like, you're going to need to make some decisions on your own. I like what you're saying about the desperation piece. I probably wouldn't use that word. I'm trying to think of another word to use because to me, the desperation, it's like I have this trigger with certain words.
Sure.
Desperation to me just feels a little bit like sad. Like I don't know. Desperate. Can we find another word? I'm gonna think. But I know what you're saying. Like there is that. I look at it like gripping, right? So in yoga, there's this term that we use, right? When you're holding something, your relationship, an idea, and it's this beautiful lotus flower in the palm of your hand. And you should, I don't want to should on people, but you don't ever want to smash it in your hand. And the smashing is you're going to leave me, or this relationship, or this career. If I don't get this call back, I'm not ever going to have another opportunity. Or if this person leaves me, I'll never be in a relationship. I'll never be in love again. Or I've had 2 marriages now. I'll never get married again. Whatever it is, it's the gripping. It's the attachment is really what it is. We're so attached that would actually just, I think, could replace the word desperation.
Sure. Don't be so attached to needing to find a relationship.
Yeah. Attachment is premeditated resentment. Mm-hmm. And what happens when we have resentment, we can create all kinds of other issues within ourselves.
Well, and that goes, that's one of our issues that we've had to deal with over a long time. You've had not premeditated, but you've had expectations as to what you wanted a certain
100%
date to look like, or a certain picnic or a certain vacation or whatever. And
it's always ruined.
It's always ruined because I never can fulfill the image that she has created in her brain. And it's true. I do my best sometimes, or not. I try, but I've come to accept that, and I try to tell her, I'm like, well, don't
I know,
hype
but
it up
now,
so much.
yeah, but now it's
like, be happy in the moment. Are you not happy that we're having a picnic? Does the picnic have to have the wicker basket and the frickin', red and white plaid blanket? Or can it just be a couple of sandwiches that we picked up at Whole Foods and we're sitting here at the park? What's wrong with one and
no, nothing. I don't think anything is wrong, but I think you're right. In our mind, we always create that vision, and that's actually one thing I've learned, and I've actually gotten a lot better.
You have,
and now I can actually talk it out. We can go watch a movie that I've been waiting a year to watch that had a $200 million budget. How do you fuck that up? You do, I guess. And, I have this expectation in my mind of what I wanted this whole experience to be. Torry and I went to Montana. We can't go and have a movie experience in Los Angeles because the movie theaters are still closed. And I was so excited to watch this film. And Torry knew how bad I wanted to watch it. We created a whole thing. I waited that entire day. I woke up that morning and I was like, oh my God, this movie's going to be amazing. I'm going to get peanut M&Ms. Like, I'm doing the whole experience. I haven't been to a movie in a long time. This is something that Torry and I love to do pretty often. We go at least, I don't know, we would go, I feel like, once a week, but we go at least maybe twice a month to a movie theater.
Fair enough.
I love the experience. And so does he. And not only was I angry, I was sad, I was hurt. The movie just did not deliver and this is so, I can't believe I'm even talking about this right now, but I was it was, no, the reason why I'm bringing it up is because I just had so much expectation.
How long ago was this?
Literally attached to
She's
this
still,
disappointment.
like, holding on to this, you guys. Can you not see that it's still happening?
Okay, I have to do some work around this. I literally do. But this is the thing. So it's just, I only brought it up as an example of my, I don't want to say OCD, but like it's sort of my attachment to certain things. There's just like certain things that I get really attached to. And what I found, especially knowing that about myself, especially in our relationship, we can actually talk it out, you know, and we can be driving back and I can say like, you can obviously see, oh, something's not right. And I could say, oh yeah, that wasn't exactly what I wanted. And then we can actually have a conversation about it instead of me just being quiet and not talking and just being like, everything's fine. And internally I'm like, well, you know, it would have been nice if we would have, you know, driven to this side of the beach, or, you know, we missed the sunset, or.
Well, and it's obviously better to talk it out, because then I'm on the other end, or whomever is on the other end going, did I do something wrong? Is it my fault? What did I do? Like how, and
yeah,
you know.
you can't ever know. And I think one of the biggest, most insidious things that we do in relationships is not say what is bothering us.
Exactly. And this is one thing that we've had to learn over time, is the fact that we need to trust what we say, right? So trust that I trust that you'll tell me if something was up, or if it was something that I did wrong or something, and I'll trust that, you know, and you can trust that I'll tell you.
So you know
if I don't like something, or you don't like something, or it didn't work, not even just a movie or whatever, it's just whatever it is in life. It's like, look, I'm in a really shitty mood right now. It has nothing to do with you. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. I just got some bad news, whatever. Like, we'll talk about it later, but just know that that's kind of what's on the plate right now. And then respect that. Mm-hmm. And I think we've found that really good
yeah.
balance.
And again, don't take it personal. I mean,
totally.
Now, you know, he could see something's wrong and I'm like, I'm fine. And he obviously knows something's wrong. And the other thing is like, don't push your partner to tell you. It's like, he saw me on my computer. I was fine. I'm off the computer and I'm in a shitty mood. Maybe I got a bad email. Maybe I don't want to talk about it right at breakfast. Maybe I want to wait until after breakfast. But the fact that, you know, he might just need me to say like, we're good. It's not you. I'm not upset at you. Let's just have breakfast and we'll talk about it later. At least it gives him an opportunity to know, okay, like I didn't do anything wrong.
Because I can be a dummy. I mean, I could say, I could have inadvertently said something that maybe didn't come out the way it was meant and not recognized that at all. And so right. I just want to make sure that didn't happen.
Yeah.
For example.
But I think, again, it just comes down to communication, you know,
yeah,
and
totally. Communication and trust that your partner will tell you, you know, what's going on.
Okay. What is the one thing, what is the biggest thing that you've learned about yourself being in a relationship this long?
First off, it doesn't feel this long. It's crazy to me when I even begin to fathom how long we've been in together. It doesn't feel like it at all. Seriously. We're best of friends, and we besties. We still cut up. We have a good time. We laugh. We cry. We yell at each other, you know. And listen, it's not all roses. I mean,
oh my God, no. We fight at least once a day.
I don't know if we fight, but it's
not fight. We just, you know, we have our little things that happen.
And when they do, we might have to recognize, like she said earlier, the nothing conversation. There may be something where I call it ankle biting. Might not be the nicest thing to say, but I'll be like, why are you ankle biting me right now? You're obviously wanting to fight, or what is it? What's going on? And she might have something that's just really irritating her. And it's like, okay, well, let's talk about it. Or yeah, that's really a nothing conversation. Like, this is really nothing. And she'll be like, you know what? It is something. We need to talk about this. Or, you know what? You're right. It is nothing. And then we move on and everything's great. You know what I mean? And it's not just you. I mean, I might be the same way too. I may be like, well, hey, what, you know, and I start ankle biting, in all fairness.
Mm-hmm. Like when you have to edit my podcast.
Oh my God. The podcast.
How grateful for JD and Edwin right now. And Ed.
Totally.
Why did I just call you Edwin? It's not Edwin. Ed Rick.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're awesome.
Yeah.
The podcast is way better.
So for the people at home right now in, you know, they're just wanting some tips to stay connected. What are 3 things that they can do to stay connected with their partner?
Oh, with their partner? Well, communicate, you know, have your routines. Like, you know, we typically have our breakfast together.
Oh yeah. I forgot about the rituals.
Yeah. So part of your rituals, you know, she does her morning meditation. I do my coffee. We do our things. It doesn't really matter what time we wake up, whether it's 5 a.m. or 8 a.m.
Typically it's 5, you guys. We are early birds.
But, you know, breakfast maybe around 9:30. And that's about when we're both like, okay. And we reconverge and we have breakfast together. Excuse me. And then we move on with the rest of our day, you know. But
so one is the ritual, to create a ritual or...
Yeah. The next part is to respect each other's time and spatial
I'm sorry.
energy.
I just messed this up. The first thing you said is communication, right? And the second is to create like a ritual.
Maybe. I mean, I guess we did create a ritual, or we have one. That's just kind of what we follow. Mm-hmm. And that requires stopping your day. So she'll stop her day, I'll stop my day, and we'll reconverge. Don't put your phone on the table while you're eating.
No tech, you guys.
She'll do it still. And
Excuse
I'll look
me?
at her.
Seriously?
I'll do it too sometimes. But listen, you're interviewing me right now.
No, this is a co-interview tour. This is a double
Well, then I would have
duel.
been asking more questions. I wasn't aware. But she'll
It's like literally we're about to wrap.
occasionally do that, and I'll have to be like, like, or if I'm doing something, she'll be like, no phones at the table. And we're like, okay. And, you know, we both respect it.
Yeah, we're pretty good about it, actually, for the most part.
Yeah, and it helps. You know, you got to set those kind of parameters where you're just like, you know what? And whether you like it or not, or agree with it or not, it doesn't really matter. If it makes your partner happy, fucking do it. I mean, unless it's, you know, ridiculous, but it's like, who needs their phone at the table anyway? Just shut up. Put your phone down. Like, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, really, it's just like, okay. And then, you know, excuse me, reconverge later in the evening, right? I don't know. I think I got a little off track, but with scheduling, like, you'd have your work day, and then, you know, I could work till 10 o'clock at night. Sometimes I have to. And if I have to, I'll be like, hey, I have to put in a late one tonight. I'm really like kind of under the gun with the schedule. And she respects that, or vice versa.
I don't make him feel bad about it. And he doesn't make me feel bad about having to work late either.
Yeah.
I mean, I never work late. You know, I'm in bed. We're in bed pretty early. So.
No, but sometimes
I mean,
you got a bunch
sometimes
of stuff to
you do work a little later than I do. But yeah, so I like that. Those are some nice tips. Okay, yeah. So we've got communication, create rituals, and the third is set parameters, and reconverge at night for some special bonding time.
Special bonding time. And
literally, I get in my nook and we go to bed every night. We'll talk about the other stuff on part 2 of our mindful tips for relationships. I actually just wanted us to come here and have this experience at Monpine together. Do you have any questions that you want to ask me about what an amazing girlfriend I am for you?
What's new and exciting in your life that you're excited about during this COVID craziness?
I'm writing a book. That's exciting.
Yeah. How's that going?
You know how it's going, Tor. Some days I'm like crying because I'm excited, and some days I'm crying because I'm just don't know what I got myself into. But, it's one of those things.
Mm-hmm. Did you bite off more than you can chew? Or are you
I am really confident in my faith. Okay. Like, I'm really confident in my ability to, I am 100% in the current of the divine. And I just always trust that whatever happens is happening because that's where I need to be in that moment. The whole everything happens for a reason thing. I can find that to be a little bit cliche at times, especially growing up in a crazy environment. I don't really believe that everything happens for a reason. Sometimes shitty things happen to nice people, and I don't know that there's a reason for that. Mm-hmm. But what I do believe is that there's no certainty in anything that we do. There's no knowing what's going to happen when this is done, or if this would have happened here, or if this would have been different here, if a different person would have been elected here. Like, there's really no knowing. Mm-hmm. The only thing that we know for sure is our potential. Mm. So if we can ground in our own potential, then everything else is just par for the course,
Don't you have a little healthy competition with Radically Loved?
Oh my goodness. Why? Wise? Women Inspiring Success and Empowerment? Yeah.
What is
Wise.
it again? You said it really quickly.
Oh, Wise is Women Inspiring Success and Empowerment. You can check it out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio.
And what is it?
It's a 10-part podcast series featuring 10 inspirational, well, actually it's only 8 inspirational women because I did a Q&A with Aviv, who is our producer, and Elizabeth Gilbert, who is like my number one hero. She was on there as well. And it was just my side hustle, honey. You know that. It was my little side project. I wanted a passion project because I just felt like I needed to put more things on my plate. This was last year, obviously, when I came up with the idea. And it's now since wrapped. So if you haven't checked it out, we'll put a link in the show notes of this particular podcast episode so you can binge all 10 episodes.
And they're really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job.
Thank you so much. Thanks for a little shout out. I think we're going to wrap because that is probably our time.
Okay.
And I am just so excited and so grateful for you as usual because you are like my number one stunner.
Aww,
and
thanks, honey.
I think that you are my favorite person on the planet most of the time, except when you're a joy kill and you decide to
That's today.
kill my vibe. Can I just tell you one quick story? I literally because everybody listening to this is going to be like, oh my God, Torry's so great. He is.
Not necessarily.
He is great, you guys. He really is. But like, he can be a little bit not connected sometimes.
Not present, not connected?
No, I don't know. Like sometimes you just aren't fully there in the moment, I think, and I actually want to get better about calling you a joy kill because I feel like I say that sometimes. And I think that that's actually a little rude because I wouldn't want somebody to call me a joy kill. I think that's mean. So I'm sorry. I'm going to try and be better about that.
I'm pragmatic.
Okay. What's another word for joy kill that I can come up with? Maybe you guys can help us. Anyway, honey, no, you are amazing. I was going to tell the story about when I was like in heaven with the dogs. It was Chewy and Chowder. We're in bed and I'm like, oh my God, this is all I need. And you're like, I know, but I'm going to have to get to work. And you kind of took me out of that moment when I was having the moment, we're laying in bed.
Nope, I wasn't present.
You're so
I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
You are so mean. Anyway, so yes, I have one final question. You know what the question is? This podcast started because you decided that you wanted to help me do something fun and something that was, going to help us create a community and to just share some cool ideas. What do you radically love? And who do you radically love? And it better be me, is all I'm saying.
Let me have a think on this here. Absolutely. I radically love you, and I radically love our doggies, Chowder and Chewy.
Mm-hmm.
And
our adoptee, Rosie.
We have another little pitty that comes by, Chowder's girlfriend.
Oh my God. She's
you
a white
girlfriend?
pitty. Oh, he knows.
He's like, is she here? Like,
yeah.
They get along.
Those of you that follow me on Instagram, you've seen her. She's the white pit bull. She's so cute.
She's awesome. Yeah. And I just, I radically love life, man. It's interesting.
Gets so like rock star vibes sometimes. It's kind of hot.
It's a good time to be alive. It's interesting for sure. But stay off Facebook and all that crap, because you know what? That'll just screw up your whole vibe. I made that mistake. I jumped on there when everybody's getting political and when everything started to really, the BLM movement and all that stuff, and I started to like see friends' true colors, and I started to like, I don't know, I got in my own soapbox, and I was kind of wanting to, and I realized it doesn't do any good. People are going to have they got their own shit. And you know what? The minute I killed it and was like, I am not engaging in any of this crap, I felt so much better. I was just like, oh, life's pretty good. Yeah, there's all this stuff going on, but everybody's got their own trips they're dealing with. And I don't need to be a part of it. I don't know. Thank you. Thanks for being you. I love you.
Oh, honey, you are just the cutest. Roll end credits. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I am so excited to continue to do this. Please share this with your friends. Email us, message us on Instagram at Rosie Acosta or on Twitter at Rosie Acosta. Subscribe on iTunes, write a review. We love doing this, so please help us continue to keep this podcast going. Thanks for listening.